Every business guru right now is preaching software. Everyone is telling you get into software, build your own SaaS, specifically no code SaaS. And in this video, I am going to be explaining why I think that is a terrible idea, why you will likely lose a lot of money if you go down that route. I'll also reveal why I think so many people are pointing to software right now. So many people are trying to get into it, and what I'm doing instead, what I have been doing over the past couple of years, a business model that I literally have not seen a single person talk about. There have been some people recently that have talked about a business model that's somewhat similar. I'll get into it in this video. I'm gonna call this model the micro-SaaS distribution model. Not the best name, probably will think of something more catchy later on. Now, first off, before I go through all these things, this is not a beginner-friendly business model. So if you're looking, for your first success or whatnot, this is not gonna be the model for you. This is for someone that has already run a couple businesses before, they've already had some success, and you're looking for something a little bit more long-term, a little bit more forward-thinking. Also, sorry, I'm a little sweaty right now. Had the idea for this video on the walk back from the gym. I do like a 40 minute walk every day to and from the gym. Had the idea on the way back, and I was like, I gotta just film this immediately when I get back. All right, so first off, why are so many people right now pointing to software? Why is everyone saying no code SaaS, build your own no code SaaS? That's like the future right now. Why are so many people pointing that way? And what is their argument? So a lot of people will say, look what everyone else is doing, right? Look how Russell Brunson made all of his money. Look at Sam Ovens right now. Look at Hormozy just partnered up with Sam Ovens. They're all building a software, right? So you too should go build a software. That's one point right there. And it's completely valid, right? A lot of people are making a ton of money in software, but here's the thing. If you get into software, you are going to be competing against the biggest players in the space, people with the most money, people that are VC backed, right? And so if you are not in that category, you are going to struggle to compete, right? You are going to have to take a different approach. For example, I am completely bootstrapped, right? Brands Meet Creators, we haven't raised a single penny, and we are in a very competitive space. Most of our competitors have raised 10, 20, 30 million dollars. So how can I compete with them, right? How are we continuing to grow? How are we doing well in a space that's so competitive, that has so much more money than us, right? I'm gonna get into why we're competing right now, why we're doing a great job. The second reason why I think so many people are pointing you towards no code SaaS, potentially even pointing at their own success that they've had with no code SaaS, most of the time, those people, really the key differentiator is they've had an audience, right? That was their advantage going into it. They had a big audience that they could leverage. Then they built a no code SaaS. They sold that software to their audience. If that is the case, if you have a large audience, then it probably is a good strategy for you, right? For someone that doesn't have an audience though, I think it's gonna be a terrible, terrible, terrible route to go. Now, why do I think building a software is not right for most people? And why do I think you're being led down the wrong path? First of all, a lot of people will point to software now being democratized, right? That's this like big new term right now, with tools like Bubble, where you don't need to pay hundreds and thousands of dollars to get your software off the ground, right? For example, Brands Meet Creators, our platform was built with no code tools, right? Whereas maybe 5-10 years ago, it would have cost us a few $100,000 to get that platform made. Now it only costs 10, 20, 50 grand to build a similar platform like that, right? So the cost to get into it is much lower, and it's getting lower and lower. Literally every single day, it's getting easier and easier to build these things. There's more resources. Right now, there's like, you can go to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT can literally code for you. It can literally build things for you. And that's just advancing so quickly right now. And so the cost, the barrier to entry is getting lower and lower and lower, which is why a lot of people are telling you to get into it. But that same logic, that same reasoning is why I believe you actually should not get into it with the business model that everyone is preaching. So when the barrier of entry becomes lower, there's going to be more competition, right? There's going to be more people launching these softwares. It's going to be easier and easier to launch these softwares. For example, I don't know if you're familiar with Chamath. He's from the All In podcast. Super smart guy. Just launched a company recently. It's called 8090. And the whole purpose of this company is to take enterprise softwares that are out there to basically replicate them, or at least 80% of their feature set, and sell them at a 90% discount. Because it's so much easier to build these things now, right? And a lot of the softwares out there that are being sold for, I don't know, a few $100s a month, really the cost to create those and the cost to maintain those is so low that those can be sold for a fraction of the price, right? Like he's saying, a 90% discount. And this is gonna continue to trend towards zero, right? That price point is gonna keep going down and down and down and down. And so when you see something that's trending towards zero, the right chess move, in my mind, is to go directly towards zero, right? You see it trending to zero, just go to zero. And that's what we did at Brands Meet Creators. I see all these other platforms out there that they'll charge 20% fees, they charge the brand up front, they charge whatever. What we did, saw the writing on the wall, and I said, what if I just build the same thing that all these companies have out there, all these other influencer marketing platforms, and what if I just made it free, right? And I used that right there to build our audience. So instead of competing on the software and the feature set, whereas I see all of these things being easier and easier to create, in 3 years from now, someone's gonna be able to press a couple buttons and they're gonna be able to build the same software I have, right? They're gonna be able to build the same software. They'll just be able to replicate a Slack or replicate a Zoom, replicate whatever. And instead of me trying to compete on that feature set, me trying to compete on the software, what I want to build, the real asset, is the audience, right? So instead of all these people preaching, just get 1,000 customers, $50 a month, and you're making 50 grand a month. How I see it, what I would rather do is, what if I can just give that software away for free, right? Instead of getting 1,000 customers a month, I don't know. What if we can get 50,000 people to sign up for free, to join my newsletter, to join my free community, to join whatever it is, to be in my audience. And now that is the real asset. That is now what I can monetize. Can monetize with info products, can monetize with a paid community, can monetize with courses, can monetize through ads in a newsletter, right? That is the thing that is going to be harder to create in the future, as opposed to these softwares are going to be easier and easier and easier to create in the future, to the point where someone's going to be able to just spin up the exact software that you have with AI like that, right? So your software itself is not the moat. It's the audience that's the moat. And that's why there are so many people in the business space that are preaching no code software, get into software. It's because they can sell a software because they have an audience, right? Because the audience is the real asset. And so that's why I think you should flip this model on its head. You build the software to give away for free. And why I think we've had a lot of success with Brands Meet Creators, and I would recommend someone to go this route if you are thinking of using this strategy, using this business model, is to find an audience that can easily share your product, right? So one of the reasons why I think we've had a lot of success with it is because our audience is all creators, right? We barely do any content. Over 80% of our traffic comes from word of mouth, comes from other people talking about our product, right? And it's because what we offer is free and it does basically the same thing that everything else out there does, and it solves a problem. And so when you do that, what happens is now you get this distribution flywheel where we continuously are having new people come into our audience. They use our software, they use our product, they love it, they tell other people about it. And now, instead of me selling a software and trying to just monetize the software, what's happening is my software is building my audience, which is what I classify as the real asset. So, long-winded rant on why I think it's a terrible idea for you to get into software, unless you want to compete with all of the people that have raised $30 million, unless you want to compete with the Hormozis and the Sam Ovens of the world, the people that have 10 full-time developers working for them and you somehow think that with your $2,000 a month budget to a bubble development agency are gonna compete against those big guys. It's just not gonna happen. And also, those softwares are gonna become easier and easier to build, and the pricing is just gonna trend towards zero. I recommend going the other route. Give away the software for free. Let that build your audience, because that is the real moat. That is the thing that in this world of AI, someone is not gonna be able to just spin up just like that, right? The product is not the moat anymore. The moat is the audience. Focus on the audience.